Listen to me. We don't want to kill any of you. But trust me, we will. Wake them up a little!
This whole thing is pretty much done. We're more ghosts than people.
You have got to keep faith. They will not crush us.
Good old Dutch. My best friend. You know how we met? Pair of hucksters trying to rob each other. Back in 78 or thereabouts.
You have to love yourself a fire. It's one of the blessings. Sure, we can have fire. And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a robbery.
Sons of Dutch. Makes us brothers. Sometimes, brothers make mistakes.
You'll never change. I know that.
All of you venerate savagery. And you will die savagely.
Get out here! Stay strong. Stay with me. You have to love yourself a fire.
Alright, we're live. Welcome to Chapter 7 of Heroes and Hardships, Handy with a Steel. Tonight we have Matt as Jessabelle and Slip as Mary. And this current day is May 5th, I believe. Yep, May 5th, 1866. And I have done this in the last one, but we'll do it again. Death in the square. A hail of bullets were heard in the main square of town when Sheriff Gunderson lawfully went to disarm Grover Peterson. Grover, a notorious fellow, resisted, and his cousins, the David, took up steel to defend their kin. Luckily, the sheriff had backup. A deputy Ward and a bystander, Lou Longley, also joined the fray. Unsubstantiated reports claim an engine was involved, but we were unable to get confirmation on that detail. It is this reporter's opinion that no engine would stand up to a white man, pious or evil. When all was said and done, the sheriff and his soldiers vanquished these thugs, killing Grover Peterson, Bishop David, and Henry David. Abel David turned yellow and ran off. Next article is Union Shut Down. Protesters at the Dunn mine were looking to unionize, but word is that Mrs. Dunn visited the mine herself and talked her workers out of their rash decision. Bonuses were granted and all went away happy, with only a half day of work. Alright. So it is probably mid-morning. And we take it off in the manor house. Actually, I would like you guys here. The hell? It's brunch, and Jessabelle and Mary have made their way down to the oversized table. This has only been full a couple times since Jessabelle has even lived here, when her widow husband had parties here and business meetings. But today is just Jessabelle and Mary. What Mary did after the previous day with what happened at the mine is up to her, but Jessabelle had retired here and had some conversation with the newcomer in town. With that done, this morning is open for the both of them, as there's a wide spread of food before them with fruits and meats and breads and tea and coffee. And you guys can take it away.
Jessabelle is sitting at her usual seat at the head of the table, and she's picking away at some of the fruits that are displayed. She's got the paper in her right hand, kind of going over it, and as she reads the article about herself, her eyes narrow as her eyes scan over the text. She's always surprised at just how fast news travels in this tiny town. Exactly how the news is presented. It's nice to know, at least, that she's being portrayed as at least fairly lenient in a way. But still, it's reminding herself of yesterday, going over it, and her being shot at in the mines. It's not the most pleasant experience, and seeing it written about the next day. This makes her eyebrows furrow slightly as she picks away the fruit. She does read the paper. She looks over to Mary and see exactly what she's doing, how she's holding herself.
Mary's dressed in the same clothes she was wearing yesterday, although she washed her face and hands for breakfast. She spent the night in the stable for two reasons. One, she wanted to have some time to mull over the events at the mine, and it had been her first time shooting a man, and she expected to feel guilt and sadness, but the adrenaline was just shooting through her all night long. The second reason she didn't want to spend the night in the house was the stranger, the man who'd come bearing bad news that Mary had heard outside Jessabelle's door. She'd been a little worried how Jessabelle would seem this morning after getting some time to talk about that, the loss of her brother. But what's Jessabelle's demeanor right now? Does she seem overly upset or just kind of interested in the paper?
Jessabelle, she seems... her eyebrows have been furrowed ever since she's awoke. She's stalked around the manor in the morning. She's dressed kind of in her house dress, not her nightie or anything like that. She actually got up and got ready for this. She doesn't seem angry or anything. There's sort of an undercurrent of annoyance. But overall, she doesn't seem too upset based on the news that she received the previous night.
Mary watches Jessabelle read the paper, shoveling food into her own mouth in relative silence until she can assess the state of Jessabelle's temper. She hasn't read the paper herself, but she sees that picture, plain as day, on the article that Jessabelle's reading. Well, I don't know what it says, but you sure do look good in that picture in the paper.
Jessabelle swallows what she has in her mouth before looking over at Mary. Look at her, wolfing down her food, her hands, back to her face. You know, Mary, you should really swallow before you speak.
Mary blushes and takes a deep swallow, helped by a couple gulps of water. Oh, you're right. I forget, you know. I'll do better.
Well, I do hope so. She puts down the paper, folding it in half, pressing it as she puts it down. So, there's a few things that I don't know if you're quite aware of, Mary. Especially what we're doing this evening. And I do mean we.
Mary's eyebrows furrow together as she tries to.
You haven't gotten that invitation yet. Sorry.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thought we did. So scratch that. Yeah, she just kind of looks over at me. There's a few things that we do need to speak about, some things that you aren't aware of, mostly regarding the man that came yesterday.
Oh, that Stinky Joe fella?
You can just call him Joe. I'm not a whole fan of the sticky part.
Oh, Sticky, right.
Yeah.
Did he stay over? I reckon, is he in the guest room somewhere?
He is. He's gonna be staying a little while longer, man. You saw what happened yesterday, and the men who are out to get me. And, well, what we have here now, and you know if they get me, that's gonna affect you too, right?
Well, sure, but don't you worry, Aunt Jessa. I'm not going to let anybody get to you. It just burns me right up. Someone be plotting against you, respectable woman like yourself. Give so much to the miners and to me, taking me in after my ranch burnt down. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Jessabelle smiles sweetly at Mary, cocks her head slightly to the side as she looks. Well, I appreciate that, Mary, and I love having you at the manor, and I definitely loved having you down at the mines there. You did some mighty fine shooting, I gotta say, I'm deeply impressed.
Mary blushes again and smiles at the rare praise, and I said, well, to be honest, I've never shot a man before. It was not what I expected, but I was glad to be there when I was.
Are you okay? Understand, from what I've been hearing, taking another person's life can be quite scary.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just not hit me yet. Maybe it's just not had a chance to settle in my mind. But other than being real hungry this morning, I feel all right. And she goes back to eating.
Jessabelle laughs. All right, slow down there, Mary. You're gonna get yourself all bloated, and you don't want that.
Oh, yeah, of course not, she says, although she doesn't understand why that would be a problem.
Jessabelle goes back to eating very slowly and again kind of looking over the paper, reading it for a fourth time.
In the middle of your meal, you hear some commotion from the front. You're not exactly sure what's being said, but after a few moments, Rosie comes into the kitchen, poking her head in. Ma'am, there's a Mr. Sweet at the door.
Oh, Mr. Sweet. All right, and she steps up and gets up from her chair, and she fixes her hair slightly. It was fine before, but it was just kind of putting a strand of hair in front of her shoulder and one in the back. And she looks to Mary, looks her up and down. How is Mary dressed? Oh, you said yesterday's clothing, right?
So it's not only a man's trousers and kind of with a woman's blouse tucked into it. It's wrinkled from sleep.
He looks at Mary. You might as well stay here, Mary, though, if you are looking to drop in near. Just stay out of sight. And she'll follow Rosie to the front.
Mary will raise her eyebrow at that invitation to eavesdrop and She drops her spoon and kind of shuffles after Jessabelle, but stays, kind of in the room just outside the foyer listening in.
Mm-hmm. You both walk to the front. It's just around the corner. You see Mr. Sweet standing in the doorway. He has a letter in one hand, it appears, and the other resting uncomfortably next to his belt line, which protrudes slightly as he has a paunch there. He smiles as you enter and gives a slight bow. Mrs. Dunn, how are you?
Mrs. Dunn, right before she kind of enters the room, she puts on a very sweet smile. When she turns the corner, she continues to give that to Mr. Sweet. She curtsies fairly low as she gets towards him. Oh, I'm absolutely fantastic, Mr. Sweet, though I'm not sure why I should have the pleasure so early in the morning.
Oh, well, I was heading into town on some business. Didn't know if you heard about those ruffians in the streets yesterday. Just awful stuff.
I was just reading about that in the paper. Sounds absolutely scary.
Yes, quite awful. I do hope to be helping the sheriff find those brigands and bring them to justice, but going to talk to some of his deputies, helping the long arm of the law today. I am.
Well, aren't you just helpful there in the town? She kind of gets a bit closer to him and continues, giving a bit of a wider smile. I'm pretty impressed. You seem very dedicated to this, Mr. Sweet.
Well, of course, anything to keep LeClaire safe, Mrs. Dunn, and all the fine people in it, such as yourself.
Well, LeClaire needs more people like you.
Well, I do agree. But unfortunately, this isn't a social occasion for my drop-in today. I have something for you here, and he passes the letter over to you.
Oh, well, didn't know you were a letter carrier, too, and she'll take it.
Well, I am a lawyer. We do manage quite the paperwork. But this is actually from my employers, the Preston brothers. They are having a gala tonight at their home. And they wanted to invite you and your ward, Mary. He looks around, doesn't see her. Looks back to Jessabelle. For dinner tonight. And drinks. Social occasion.
Oh my, well, I am deeply honored. We'll both definitely be attending.
Lovely. Mr. Preston's, they'll be very, very eager to see you. I don't believe they've seen you in some time, and yes, they're happy to make your acquaintance once again.
Well, I'm happy to make happy to make theirs as well. It's been too long.
Yes, they do want me to send their apologies for not reaching out sooner since, well, your unfortunate accident with your husband.
Her face goes a bit sad. She looks over to the side. Yes, I understand both of them being very busy, so it'll be a pleasure to see them this evening.
Of course. I would say on a personal level, no woman should be alone for so long without, the company of a friend. And I'm sure that the Preston brothers wish to be a friend to you this night, and hopefully you have a good time and ease your troubles.
Well, I've heard of their hosting capabilities, so I'm very excited to experience that myself.
Wonderful. Well, I will give them the news then. They will be absolutely delighted.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sweet.
Well, I don't want to take any more of your time up. I have pressing matters in town anyway. You have to find Deputy Ward.
Oh, but of course, I won't hold you any longer. You have a good day now, Mr. Sweet.
You too. I will see you later at the party. I believe it is at 7 p.m. sharp.
Perfect. We'll make sure to be there.
Wonderful. And he smiles and gives a bow again, turns, opens the door, pulls it shut behind him, and walks out to his wagon. There's a man waiting there to drive him off. You can clearly see through the window. He gets up in the carriage, and the other man snaps the reins of the horses, and they pull them off down the drive.
She waits there as he leaves, both hands clasped in front of her as he goes. And as he turns around, gets into the cart, and her door shuts. Her smile fades. She puckers her lips slightly before turning around and looking for the... Mary! I'm sure you heard that.
Mary skulks, kind of just slouches around the corner into the foyer and says, "Yeah, I heard that. But I reckon that you'll be better off going without me. I mean, I really don't have nothing to wear.
Oh, Mary,
most of my good dresses, they burnt in that fire."
Oh, Mary. And Jezebel very quickly approaches Mary and puts a hand on either side of her face, pinching her cheeks. No, honey, no. You're definitely not escaping running away from tonight. You're coming with me.
Mary just frowns, but nods. Well, if you say so, but I really don't have anything to wear, and I reckon I'll probably embarrass you.
Sweetheart, you're not going to embarrass me. I'll make sure you don't embarrass me. I'm sure many of the gentlemen who are going to be at this party are going to be interested in meeting you.
She looks incredulous and says, I don't reckon anybody'd even see me in the same room you was in, Jessup, but that's kind of you to say.
Well, I know it might be a bit unfortunate for you. You're used to being outside of the ranch and everything, but I'm gonna start teaching you some things that my mama taught me. And that's really how to be a proper woman. No, it's a bit intimidating, but you can both play with the horses and also be a proper lady. I'll make sure to help you out with that.
She looks a little doubtful, but nods again. Well, I reckon you'd know, you being both a horsewoman and a proper lady yourself.
Jezebel smiles and laughs. Well, we're really gonna have to get you cleaned up, Mary. She grabs a strand of Mary's hair, pulling it up, and you can see her nose wrinkle slightly as she does that. We're gonna have to give you a right scrubbing and a good haircut, and also definitely something a lot more tailored to you. This baggy thing, and she'll pull away, grabbing the men's shirt and pulling at that. This definitely will not do.
I reckon not. Well, I put myself into your hands in this matter.
Jezebel's smile widens and she looks over Mary's shoulder. Rosie, get in here.
Rosie is around the corner. She's been clearing the table. One second, sorry. She comes around. Yes, mistress. What can I do for you?
Make sure to draw a bath for Mary here and maybe get some of the real hard scrubbers for this one.
Oh, the real... Oh, hey, of course. Well, I'll run the bath. I'll see you up there, Mary. And she turns and goes to do what she's ordered.
Mary watches Rosie go upstairs with a scowl on her face, but tries to smile back at Jessabelle. Well, I reckon I'll go get cleaned up then.
Good. And then we'll be talking about how to act at parties. It'll be a very brief description, but hopefully it'll help. But don't worry, we'll mostly be together the whole time, so just lean on me if you need it.
So you are giving her a makeover, right?
Yes.
Why don't you give me an art roll?
Oh, no! Uh-oh.
It's out of presence.
I'm not an artist. Ugh.
Yeah, just not quite enough to... You give her so why don't you describe what you do? It's not enough to give her any benefits at the party, but she looks clean and presentable at a social gathering, at least.
Yeah, she makes sure that Rosie really goes in on the cleaning. Get all the dirt out of under her fingernails and everything. Making sure to trim them down because they're probably long, maybe some of them bitten. She tries to buff those out. Get her hair snipped, make sure it's even, make sure it's nice. Probably do a bit of an updo. And I don't know, anything just minimal to make her look more presentable than she usually is. A lot more feminized. Definitely putting the corset on this woman. Trying to put her in one of my dresses.
Yeah, maybe that's where it goes wrong. I picture Mary as being quite tall. Maybe she's a little bit
broader,
taller.
Yeah.
Like she's a beautiful woman, but she's not built the same as Jessa.
Right.
And maybe her wrist bones are sticking out too far past the sleeves and that sort of thing.
Yeah, like Rosie's trying to get you in the corset. She's like pulling it as tight as she can. It's
Put on the back.
Yeah, it's pinching, your chest and your ribs and your stomach. And
she's using a horse trick. She's puffing up when she's getting pulled tight. So
to be looser later. Yeah. So that takes a couple hours. You get a haircut and you awkwardly walk down the stairs in this corset and dress. And you're back together after Rosie is done with her. Rosie peers down the stairs and gives Jess a little bit of a look like I tried my best, but...
Yeah, what time is it at this point?
Oh, it's, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Yeah, Jezebel's already made up. She's got on one of her best dresses, making sure her hair is very coiffed, very proper. And she looks like she usually does when she really tries hard to do herself up. She looks Mary up and down, looks up to Rosie. Well, we're definitely going to need some practice. You try, and you're going to need some dresses. She looks at Mary, looks her up and down. You're a little bit too tall for, my size. Maybe just cut you down at the knees. And she'll give her a bit of a grin.
Well, I reckon you'd have to in order to make this dress look proper. Are you sure I'm not going to be making a fool of myself?
I'm very sure. Sure everyone there is going to be absolutely smitten with you.
She blushes and says, well, I reckon you'd have to in order to make this dress look proper. Are you sure I'm not going to be making a fool of myself? I'm very sure. Sure everyone there is going to be absolutely smitten with you.
Yeah, like Rosie's trying to get you in the corset. It's not enough to give her any benefits at the party, but she
We'll see, but I'm doubtful. If I don't do anything that ruins your night, I'll consider it a success.
Well, I have to say, if anything does go wrong, though I don't want you bringing... She kind of looks at the dress and everything. Is there anywhere that she could strap a gun to Mary?
Potentially. It would be, a derringer, perhaps.
Yeah. She's gonna grab one of her derringers, and she's gonna go under Mary's skirt there. Try to hide it under there.
Mary holds out a hand and she says, sorry, Jessa, I might have been a step ahead of you on this one. She pulls up her leg and she's strapped a derringer to her garter.
Yeah, she was just whispering that to me right before you started with that line of talk, so it's funny.
Yeah, Jessa almost has her head under Mary's skirt before she kind of pulls back. Oh, all right. I'm glad you're thinking ahead.
Well, with all that's been going on lately, I'd feel better if, well, since it doesn't look like there's going to be your friend going with us. Anyway, I want to keep you safe, Aunt Jessa.
Jessa smiled. Well, that's another reason why I want you coming. I mean, you were the best shot down there.
Can you give me a stealth roll with 2 benefits, Mary?
Oof.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, you get it secure. It would take you feel that it would really take someone frisking you, feeling you up to really notice that, which would be untoward, certainly.
Mary says, I don't think that's going to show. Makes me walk a little awkward, but I think it'll pass.
Just say that you fell off the horse this morning. That's an excuse I use all the time.
Oh, sure. Although, that's a little embarrassing to think.
What about falling off the horse? Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens. Maybe there was a thunderstorm last night. I mean, it's a good excuse as any.
Well, there you go. Dang, Aunt Jessie, you just think of everything. Someday, maybe I'll be as canny about these things as you.
Someday you will, but fortunately that day is not today. But I do want to say, Mary, in regards to the party, just make sure to curtsy when you're meeting new people. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Just make sure to act as docile as you can to the men's. They like that kind of thing.
She makes kind of a face. Well, all right. I'll give it my best.
You notice that Maxwell is standing in the corner with his arms over his chest. He looks over to Jessa as if he's anticipating leaving soon. Ma'am, it's snowing out there. You should take the wagon.
She looks over to Maxwell, and you can see her expression before was kind of a bit more jovial with Mary, and she gives Maxwell a very hard look. Maxwell, as much as I appreciate you letting me know about the weather outside when we have windows, what did I say about interrupting the conversation?
All right.
Now, go fetch the horses and get the wagon ready.
See? And he just turns and walks out the door.
As he leaves, once he kind of makes past the stairs, she looks to Mary. It's so hard to find good help nowadays.
I reckon. I think I'm going to bring the rifle in the wagon. I won't bring it in, but just to have.
It's a very good idea. I think I might bring this Derringer, and she has it still in her hand, with me, just in case.
Can't be too careful.
Not nowadays. Especially if they try to lure me to a mine. Jessabelle kind of goes under her own skirt, strapping the Derringer to her own garter.
Do you have anything else you want to do before you take off?
She'll leave a note for Joe saying that she's leaving, where she's going. She's taking Mary with her, and he might be out tending to the horses or something. But she'll kind of leave it on her pillow, and she'll head back down. She looks to Mary. All right, you ready to go?
Ready as I'll ever be.
That's the spirit.
Okay. One moment. Yeah, you load up in the wagon, and it is snowing pretty good out there. Maxwell, and pretty much he's the guy that's going to take you there. He steps up in the cart and gets it moving. It's pretty cold out. You're bundled up with blankets and your overcoats. The Maxwell estate, or I'm sorry, the Preston estate is not that far away, as this is pretty much all the rich areas, you know, fairly close by. Let me move you over there. You see in the distance the nope. One sec. Yeah, in the distance you see the house. You see no one on the road. It appears that most people are staying off the road currently, have gotten indoors due to the snow. You do see that there are many wagons kind of lined up over by the stables, not too far away from the house. And you see actually at the doorstep there's people walking in and out, and then there's a man who you assume is the butler outside taking people's invitations. As you walk up, he is replaced by a woman who pulls her coat over her shoulders heavily and takes someone's invitation and looks up as you arrive.
As she gets to the stairs, looks to Molly, she gives her a bit of a curtsy and hands her evening.
Well, thank you, ma'am. She takes it and casts her eyes down, looking at the invitation, but not even opening it, just tucking it away in a basket that she's holding with her other hand.
I see, like, there's other invitations kind of
stacked
in there.
Yeah, there is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mary tries to follow suit, giving a very awkward curtsy after just.
Yeah, the girl at the door doesn't seem to notice or mind. She's definitely keeping her eyes down. She does shuffle to the side and opens the door, twisting the doorknob and pushing it open.
Jessabelle nods to her and heads inside, and she's got an arm around Mary. She leads her inside, and she leans over to Mary and whispering in her ear. Looks like that's one of the Irish help.
Mary nods. Yeah, I thought I caught a bit of an accent, kind of similar to your job.
You guys want to give me a streetwise roll? Whoa.
Damn. Jits don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Mine makes sense then.
Yeah. Sounds Irish to you. Can't believe it. Okay.
As they enter, she leans over to Mary, and there's a little bit of a grin on her face as she leans in. I wonder if they pay her in potatoes.
I prefer beans. Says Mary, not getting it.
Well, if I ever pay you, Mary, I'll make sure to pay you in beans.
Nothing like beans over a campfire, she says.
Jessabelle puts a hand over her mouth and just stifles a laugh as they enter the foyer.
Right. You... maybe over here. Mary leads... kind of steps out of the way, and you're at the top of the stairs, and you see a few people milling about below. You see Mr. Sweet, for one. He is talking to a man with a beard who you don't recognize by sight, but he doesn't look particularly like he fits in real well. He you can tell that he's dressed up for him, but it's still pretty shoddy. Mr. Sweet is talking to him, then looks up the stairs. Oh, Mrs. Dunn! Hello!
Jessabelle, she makes her way down the stairs, looking at Mr. Sweet and giving him a very wide smile. Good evening, Mr. Sweet.
Well, I am more than pleased to see you here today, Mrs. Dunn. I am glad you came. Let me introduce you. And he walks by the man with the beard, waving you down the steps. He heads towards a man that's standing there with a drink in his hand and a cane in the other. The cane looks purely ceremonial, as he's not leaning against it. He smiles, and he's dressed very, very well. He's got a fancy jacket on. Is just you don't think you've met him before? Definitely not in any kind of negotiations or anything.
Yeah, she makes her way down the steps and towards a man with the mustache and small beard, curtsying as she approaches. Well, it's very lovely to meet you.
All well. Welcome. I'm Neil Preston. How are you?
Well, I'm Jessabelle Dunn, as you might know, and of course I've heard of you.
Oh yes.
Let me introduce, of course, my ward, Mary. She'll gesture over to Mary standing beside her.
The man reaches out to take your hand.
Jess had kind of given her the basics on how letting someone take your hand and doing the kiss over it. Mary has a natural charm with men. I wouldn't say that she actively tries to seduce them, but I gave her points in that to represent just a natural charm.
Okay. Yeah, he smiles and brings his face over your hand as if he's gonna kiss it, and releases your gloved hand. Looks to Jessa. Well, what they said about the reward is true. Very, very pleasant looking lass. Welcome to have you both. Must run in the family, huh?
Jessabelle smiles. Well, though we aren't related, the Dunn family does know how to either pick 'em or have 'em.
Oh, of course. Well, can I have someone bring you a drink?
Yes, please. Mary says.
Yes, we would both love a drink, and she'll kind of reach, wrapping an arm around, intertwining hers with Mary's, and as she does, she kind of brings one of her fingers over and pinches Mary's skin.
Mary jumps just slightly.
Well, I'll have the champagne broth right over. And he looks at a servant and snaps his fingers, and they kind of go rushing off. Well, was your ride over? Okay, it's been getting a bit hairy out there. May snow and all.
Yeah, it's a bit intimidating riding out there in the snow, but I gotta say, this part of the country is very beautiful this time of year.
Oh, it can be beautiful, or it can be harrowing. The Rockies.
True, but sometimes it's better to see the beauty in things than, the rocky aspects.
Oh, I like your attitude. I like your attitude a lot, ma'am. Well, I'm going to go and make the rounds, as they say. My brother's about here somewhere. He's an older feller. Looks a bit like me. And his son, too, James. I'm sure they would like to make your acquaintance. If you would excuse me, ladies. And about that time, the champagne is brought over.
Jessabelle takes hers. She holds it between two fingers. And she looks over to Mary.
Mary's already swallowed half of it.
If Neil realizes that or cares, he doesn't show it in his face. He just nods and turns and walks off, and leaving you two by yourself for the, time being. There's other people milling about.
Yeah.
Mary whispers over to Jessa. I ain't never had champagne before. It don't taste strong, but the bubbles are nice.
Well, though you haven't had champagne before, don't be swallowing it like a horse swallows water, alright?
Mary looks down at her feet. Oh, sorry, I'm just nervous.
Understandable, but just make sure to not let anyone see you imbibing alcohol so quickly. It makes you look easy, honey.
Easy, she says, thinking about what that means, and instead she looks at Jessa and the way she's holding her glass and tries to deliberately mimic it.
Jessabelle smiles before making her way. She kind of looks around the room, seeing if there's seeing if that Thompson.
Yeah,
for conversation.
as you were saying something about easy, he kind of is walking by and he's might have overheard. Easy, huh? Well, I must be the easiest person in here then. Get me another one of those bubblies. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just a bit nervous and bumfuzzled in this place.
Oh my, well then you get along with my ward very well. And what's your name?
Oh, I'm Taggart Thompson. You're kind of thinking about that, Jessa. Give me we'll do a lore roll on this one.
Oh, where's Laura?
That should be a knowledge. Yeah, I'll whisper you that one.
Ooh. Jessabelle smiles to Tom. Well, it's lovely to meet you, Mr. Thompson, or do you prefer Taggart?
Oh, Taggart's fine. What's your name, ma'am? Sorry.
Fine. Ms. Dunn, Jessabelle Dunn, and this is my ward, Mary.
Oh, Mrs. Dunn, yeah. You own those mines about yonder, west of the creek bed. Yeah. Oh, those are nice properties. He looks over to Mary and nods. Oh, hi there. I'm Taggart. He like reaches out, kind of like he's gonna take your hand, and then he kind of fumbles around and just wipes his very clammy palms on his pants.
And Mary forgets for a minute that she's supposed to hold out her hand, and instead she went to tip her hat that she's not wearing. And so as he's taking his hand back, she's just remembering to hold hers out. So it's a very awkward little exchange.
He actually cracks a little smile. Well, seems we're both a little bit out of our elements.
You can say that again, Mr. Thompson. Frankly, I'm glad to see I'm not the only one.
Oh, I've been here for 10 minutes, and he looks like he's gonna say something, maybe a bit untoward, and he like catches himself. Well, I'm just really uncomfortable. All these fancy sorts, such as yourself, ma'am, and well, I'm just a simple miner. Got invited over here by the Prestons, and yet drinking this fancy juice water thing and champagne. I don't know. They spelled it to me. It's very strange.
It sounds very difficult, but just a miner. I don't think you're just a miner. Taggart. I heard about you owning a small mine there.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I was one of the first ones out here swinging the pick, and, where you swing the pick is what you got, and, yeah, found some of the color down there, and, well, here I am, a high society type. I guess that's what they call me.
Well, I'm pretty impressed. You ever looking to invest in anything? Or are you just happy with your mine as it is?
Oh, I invest. Well, there's a lot of people buying around here, and I can barely keep what I got. Get a couple more mines in me, I might have a heart attack. Too much stress.
I understand. Having mines can be very stressful itself. Have you ever thought about, well, I mean, it sounds like you're doing pretty well for yourself, but never thought about retiring early?
Oh, shoot, I think about it every day. Every day I have to sign some form or talk to a lawyer or talk to the Butler Company trying to buy me out, and this Pinkerton's giving me an ugly look. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to sell that bastard. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I do apologize for my wicked tongue. God save me. Is there a I'm sorry, ma'am.
Oh, I reckon I've heard a word or two before. And I know Jessa has, because usually they're coming from me.
Well, you're just... Hey, yeah, anyway, yeah, I have, and, I don't know, that's just saying one of these big types. The Prestons are nice enough. They haven't really asked me more than once, but I don't know. I see you here now, and I wonder if, that's what we're all here for a sales pitch,
Well, I really hope not. I don't know if you've been reading the paper anytime lately, but I think I've had my share of people attempting to get my mines.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty much constant. You just want to buy the little person out and fill their coffers. Just one more mine for them. They didn't put the blood, sweat, and tears in it like I did, and I think your probably husband did. And you now taking care of it. That's just amazing what a woman can do when she sets her mind to it,
She is amazing, says Mary, just completely sincere.
Well, I appreciate that. Both of you. Us little folk, we need to stay together.
Well, yeah, I reckon we do. Sorry I haven't made your acquaintance sooner. I don't visit these balls and fancy places. I still live just outside my mine in my little cabin, and it does me just fine. Just fine.
That's perfectly fine itself. I mean, if you're comfortable there. Why? But, have you had, you said the Butler Company has been coming at you pretty aggressively, yeah?
Oh gosh, yeah. Those bastards. Dang. Watch your mouth, Taggart. Those guys, they send the Pinkertons like once every couple of weeks, and they come around and snoop in, ask me if I want to sell yet, and try to get my blood up so they can draw steel on me or something. I ain't that dumb. Mama didn't raise me that stupid, that's for sure. I ain't gonna draw steel on those boys. They shoot me down quicker than a wildcat.
Well, you have anyone maybe coming in attempting to talk to your miners, talking about unionizing?
Oh God, unionizing? No, I haven't heard anything like that.
Good. I'd be careful there, Taggart. It seems like I have a feeling that, as you say, with the Butler Company, they're trying to get under our skin, trying to get people like you and maybe even like me to draw steel, though. I couldn't do something like that, but it definitely seems like they're the ones trying to get us out, whether through legal means or not. And I think people like us really need to look out for each other.
Oh, I agree. The Prestons are pretty good people, and I've bent their ear about it a little bit, and they're pretty reassuring that they're gonna start trying to help us against the Butlers. Talk to the law and such. I mean, the Prestons are busy, but I think if we stick with them, we might have a good shot at keeping our minds when we want to, and just everybody be calm and get the color, and hey, we all get some money. Why do we need more and more and more and more? I don't understand why people have to be so ornery.
Of course. Just as long as, since we're here and trying to find out exactly why they invited us all, I'd just be a little bit careful about sticking with the Prestons. You know what they say, if someone's a little bit too nice, they're going to be asking for something big later.
Oh, well, maybe. Well, I guess I'll just follow your lead then. I mean, as you are a fancy lady and educated and been in these situations before. Like I say, I'm just a simple man from Indiana, Terre Haute, and I just came out here 5 years ago, struck the color, and here I am. I'm nobody special. I just want to make my living honest, not get shot, and not be bullied,
Well, if a little woman like me can make sure to stand up to this big bully's trying to take both of our minds, then I'm very sure a big man like you can handle.
Oh, well, we'll see about that. Ma'am, I do need to apologize. I need to find the water room. I drank like 5 of these things. A waiter passes by and he grabs another flute glass and just downs it. It makes my nose tickle a bit. Well, I'll talk to you ladies later. Bye. And he walks, and you can just tell he's like aimlessly looking for the bathroom.
Jessabelle smiles a bit as he leaves and looks over to... I'm always surprised by the folk that get their own minds. I mean, really.
Yeah, he seemed real nice, says Mary, not getting Jess's implication at all.
Yeah, nice, very soft-headed man. She'll smile and look around the room again.
You look around and you see a man in the corner. He's tall and thin. He's older. He's wearing a very tight collar. And he's talking to someone. He nods and puts a hand on their shoulder and leans in and whispers something. And the man goes off with Mr. Sweet almost immediately. The tall, older man spots you next to the stairs and makes his way towards you slowly. He steps close and... Oh, Mrs. Dunn, is it?
Jessabelle curtsies and looks to her. Yes, it is. Since you already know my name, may I make your lovely acquaintance?
Oh, I'm Jared Preston, as you might have guessed. And Jared is the head of the Preston Company, the older brother.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance. Do you prefer Mr. Preston or Jared?
Oh, Jared is just fine.
Lovely. Well, she'll look over to Mary and place a hand on her shoulder. This is my lovely ward and niece, Mary.
Oh, Mary, I'm sorry to hear about your father. He reaches his hand out towards you.
Mary remembers to hold out her hand this time. That's real nice of you to say. Yeah, it's a sad thing, but guess we all gotta go sometime.
Oh yes, the Lord willing, we all go to the pearly gates. He's looking down on you, lass. Feel his love. I'm sure that you can take solace in knowing that your father has a place next to the Almighty.
My father by the Almighty. Well, that is a thought. Hard to picture. But,
It's a lovely thought, isn't it, Mary?
Oh, it is. Yeah, I do picture Daddy looking down on me. I hope to get the ranch up and running again someday. I think that would make him real proud.
Well, if you need a small loan, I would be happy to buy some stock in your ranch, help you get it back on its feet, and supply the men to do so, although I'm sure your aunt has offered the same.
Well, we're still reeling a little bit, Jared, from the tragedies that happened, so I don't want to start too soon on that, but I'm sure Mary appreciates your offer very much.
Oh, of course. Well, if you need the Prestons' help, we're here. Want to invest in the community?
Mary had looked kind of excited at his offer, but when Jessa spoke, she kind of took it down a notch, just nods and says, "Well, that's mighty generous of you, Mr. Preston. I'll keep that in mind."
Oh, not a problem. Just let us know. We're here. You can talk to Mr. Sweet, and he would set it up. Not a problem, as I said. Well, are you enjoying yourselves?
Of course, we definitely appreciate being invited. You have such a lovely home. She kind of looks around. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It was one of the first homes built out in this place. We bought it from an old widower. She moved back east, and well, here we are. It's sort of strange that one old lady would live here by herself. Said it was haunted, actually. Bunch of malarkey, of course.
Of
Oh.
course.
You ain't never seen no ghosts here, have you? Says Mary, looking a little bit excited.
He smiles. Just my wife, huh?
Jessabelle laughs a little as well. Well, I will say she's done a lovely job at keeping up the home.
Oh yes, she's a wonderful wife. God love her. My Rebecca. Not Irish, but, well, what are you gonna do? Not everybody can be, huh?
Unfortunately, not everyone is blessed enough to be Irish folk.
Oh, not much of a blessing for our history. It's covered in blood. I don't know if you know the history of the Irish, but it's Not a good one. My parents came here, when I was a wee lad. Anyway.
Jessabelle, she tries not to give a bit of a condescending smile. She just stares at Jarrett and just gives him a bit of a grin and nod. Well, I will say, I was fairly curious as to why there was an invitation so early in the day. I mean, don't usually send invitations maybe a few days ahead of time. I'm not upset or anything like that. Just curious as to the late invite.
Oh yes, apologies. We sent all the invites out pretty late. It was a kind of a spur of the moment sort of thing. My son, you see, it's his birthday.
Oh, well, if I knew it was his birthday, I might have worn something different.
He just stares at you for a moment, not exactly understanding what you mean. No, it's not anything. What you're wearing is just fine. Well, I will see if he's around here. I would love to introduce him to you.
I'd be most humbled by that, Jared.
Oh, well, would you like to head into the ballroom?
Of course, please lead the way.
He waves you to follow. He takes off ahead of you and gives you some time to talk.
Mary grabs Jess's arm and says, "You didn't say there's going to be dancing."
Oh, well, sometimes those things are a little bit of spur of the moment. And hey, if, the young Preston is fairly... How old is the son, or is that known?
With your lore roll of a 2, you are unsure.
Oh, my lore roll is a 20.
Or I mean,
but
your
my
street.
card-
What is your? Yeah, he's in his mid-20s.
She looks to Mary. Well, if you take an interest in the young Preston boy, then maybe you can dance with him.
Well, I don't reckon he'd take an interest in me. Nohow. Maybe you'd have better luck.
Well, Mary, how about we make it a bit of a game? You like those, right?
Well, sure. But what you mean?
Well, why don't both of us attempt to catch the eye of the young Preston?
Oh boy, that ain't gonna be much of a game, Aunt Jessa. You
Don't
might as
get
well
yours-
crown yourself the victor.
Don't get yourself down, Mary. I mean, what's the use of giving up before you try?
Well, you got a point. She shrugs. What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
Mary grabs another champagne on the way into the ballroom.
Yeah, there's many people in here milling about as well. Most of the party has moved into this area. Let me just... might as well move people over. Waiters are coming by and offering hors d'oeuvres and whatnot at this point. There's conversations going on all over the ballroom. There's music playing. There's someone actually playing the harp. It's a very, very, very fancy party. And Mr. Preston does come back up to you rather quickly, and on his tail is he might be in his late 20s. He's not a bad-looking fellow. He's dressed very well, long sideburns. It doesn't look like he's shaved today. Not sure if that's his MO or what. But Jarrett comes back over and says, "And this is my son, James." And he looks like he's going through the motions, just reaches out and he's like, "Hello." He doesn't seem to have a very thick accent from what you can tell.
Jessabelle curtsies, offering her hand, of course, and smiling over to James. She looks over to Jared. Well, see you got your good looks.
Mary holds out her hand too and gives him a smile. It's nice to meet you, James.
Oh,
I'm Mary.
nice to meet you, Mary. He takes your hand and goes about it kind of robotically, the meeting. And he kind of looks at Jessa, what she said about good looks. Oh yes, I suppose.
Well, and she kind of looks around. Oh, well, I'm surprised not to see a woman on your arm there, James.
Oh, well, I did have a wife, but she passed away.
Jessabelle, her smile kind of fades, and she nods very sympathetically. I understand that. My husband passed away, too.
Yes, my father told me, it is a tough place out here in the West. Died of pox. He just shrugs. There's no reason to get all forlorn here, huh? He grabs he actually has in his hand a glass, and it's obviously whiskey. He takes a small drink. Jarrett butts in. Well, James, why don't you tell them about your interest in horses? I believe both the Dunn ladies are very keen horsewomen, I've been told.
Oh, you like horses? Says Mary, the totally enthusiastic now.
He nods. I do, yes. I'm not an expert, but can certainly tell the beauty of a horse when it passes me by. If the weather wasn't so rotten, I would take you to the stables.
Mary looks out. Well, golly, I'd brave it. I'd love to see what's in the stables.
I'm sure that maybe we can come back another day when it's not so... Well, for one, when it's not the celebration of his birth and he wants to socialize a little, and also when it's a bit of better weather there, Mary.
Oh, you're right, of course. I get a bit carried away with my enthusiasm.
Oh, well. Another time, then.
Well, would indeed love to see your horses as well. I used to, when I lived down south, do some reining competitions myself.
Oh, really? Reining competitions? Down south? Where down south?
Deep in Texas. That's where I used to be before I moved up here.
Ah, Texas. I see. Mary, are you from this area? Most people aren't.
As far as I know, she was raised here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, I was born and raised here. My father owned a ranch, and his brother was Aunt Jess's husband.
Ah, before the boom, then. You don't see many people who are here before found gold.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. I sometimes dread going into town. So many people and all the noise and the stink compared to what it used to be. I prefer the fresh air and the open sky myself.
James scratches at his chin. I'm sorry, I suppose we're part of the reason there's such a stench here.
Oh, well, that's progress. I don't mean to say that any of it's your fault. It's just you take the bad with the good, I reckon. Just as for myself, I don't ever think I'm really going to be a city person myself.
Oh, this is not much of a city, I'm afraid.
Well, maybe one day it will be. Unfortunately, times are indeed moving forward, Mary.
I reckon they are. Hear rumors about a railroad coming to town and everything.
Oh, if my father has his way, certainly there will be. And Jarrett nods. Oh, that would be mighty fine to have the railroad come here. To be perfect for the town. No offense, Mary, but that is progress, and it would help everyone. Your aunt included.
Oh, I know. I know. She shrugs. I lack my aunt's sophistication, I suppose, and generally feel more comfortable with the horses than with people.
Mary's a bit of a free spirit.
Oh, well, so is my son. Perfect. Why don't you, chat for a while? Mrs. Dunn, could we perhaps, have a conversation?
Oh, well, of course. She'll unwrap her arms from Mary and give her a tap on the elbow before following Jared off.
Mary gives her a little bit of a panicked expression as she walks away. And she turns back to James now, considerably more nervous now that she's on her own.
Yeah, James also looks fairly uncomfortable from what you can tell, and he's like, oh, that was awkward, huh?
Oh, well, it's always awkward with me, I'm afraid, says Mary, and she bites her lip. Well, what kind of horses you got here? What breed you favor?
He begins to talk about the horses and engages you in conversation as the scene shifts over to Jarrett and Jessabelle for a moment. He takes you into a parlor, and one of the servants kind of moves out of there as he walks in, and he's like, "Oh, take a seat, please, Mrs. Dunn. Don't worry, I'm not here to try to buy your mine, which I'm sure that every miner in this place is wondering."
She smiles, and she's still holding the champagne flute. She's kind of swirling around the liquid. She takes a seat, adjusting herself slightly as she sits down. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I've had a little bit of a week with that, but I am intrigued as to what you'd like to talk about.
Well, there's two things. Number one is, well, as you were saying about the mining business. You see, Mrs. Dunn, I'm more interested in the mining operation itself and not the business, but I thought I should speak to you myself. Just yesterday, your miners in town were pretty loose with their lips, and I did hear about the troubles.
Seems like everybody heard about them troubles.
Well, I think we need to do something about the Butlers. That man is insufferable and will do nothing. He will stop at nothing to get what he wants, and that's every mine in LeClaire.
I reckon that you're correct. I mean, if it was indeed the Butlers who attempted to incite my men to unionize and attempt to, well, take shots at me, then they're definitely a problem.
Yeah, he sits down in a big chair and leans back, and he kind of waves for you to sit in a chair that's kind of next to him. Well, who else would it have been? I can't think of anyone. He frowns and shakes his head. So, I'm wondering, you have a ward, I have a son without a wife. I think that it would be in both of our interest if we come to an agreement, and perhaps he could begin to court Mary, and that way we would be unified against the Butlers, in more than just words.
Jessabelle smiles, and you can see it growing on her face. I do think that would be a most pleasant idea there, Jared. Uniting our two households. Plus, it seems the two of them do share a few interests.
Oh, the boy knows nothing about horses. I told him exactly what to say.
Jessabelle, she covers her mouth and laughs a lot. Oh my goodness. Well, Mary's gonna be mighty disappointed about that. But it was a good idea.
Well, he unfortunately does not do the research that I do on the other people in town, I'm afraid. He's a bit sad still from his wife's passing and his daughter's. Oh, it was a terrible thing, but what can a man do but get up back on the horse, as they say?
My goodness, that's awful. Oh, I understand the sadness, but I understand getting back out there. There's, unfortunately, with what we're doing, no time to be sad.
Oh, yes. For sure. So then, what do you think? Do you think that perhaps we could see them spend some time together then?
I think that would be most pleasing, Jerry.
Well, wonderful. Oh, I did notice that you were speaking to Mr. Thompson.
I was.
Well, I thought that perhaps as a goodwill gesture I would make sure that he came here and, well, he's about a stone's throw away from selling everything he's got. I figure that you could perhaps acquire his mine.
Well, ain't that just kind of you? Though it doesn't seem like he's too keen to sell at the moment.
Oh, I think a woman with your expertise in such matters, I believe that you could perhaps talk him into it.
My, aren't you a flatterer?
Well, it's up to you. Oh, but if he leaves here and you haven't purchased the mine, I'll probably have a go at it.
Well, I'll see that as a challenge there. I'll make sure to acquire that mine, thanks to you, of course.
Well, of course. Just a friend. Perhaps. Even, well, family.
Well, here's the hopes that Mary and James work out then. She'll raise her glass to...
Raises his glass. We'll give him a nudge in the right direction.
Of course, though, might take a few more nudgings with Mary than anything.
Oh, well, I'm sure that you can use your charms in that way as well.
You're just keen on talking about my charms there, Jerry.
Well, I've heard most impressive things. Most impressive.
Oh, really now? Like what?
Oh, I know that you're a woman that run 2 mines, and the Butler Company has tried to assassinate you, and here you are. That's all I need to know.
I didn't know that my able to avoid getting assassinated really contributed to my charm.
Oh, I think you're underestimating yourself there, dearie. Takes a drink.
Well, I appreciate the confidence, Jerry. I do happen to find that normally men get very intrigued by a woman who occasionally gets herself into danger often, helps them feel better to save.
Oh, I'm no savior. That's only the God Almighty. I'm here for strictly business and for self-protection. And if that extends to you, lass, very well.
Well, very much appreciated, Jerry. She gives him a smile and takes a drink of her champagne. And was there anything else that I can do for you?
Well, not at all. Just have fun.
Always do.
He actually nods to the door without getting up.
And just blinks a few times before just getting up from her seat and giving him a small curtsy. Well, I hope to see you around, Jerry.
Oh, absolutely. Have a nice night. I'll be out in a while. Going to have a cigar.
Enjoy yourself. She nods and heads for the door, and as she heads off, again, kind of the smile that's been plastered on her face most of the night, she lets it just relax. She frowns for a few moments before getting to the door, taking a deep breath, putting the smile back on and opening it into the ballroom.
Yeah, the screen quickly pans over to James speaking to Mary. Oh, yes, well, the horses, it's been a while since I've actually been able to ride. I mean, you can tell he's, like, totally making shit up at this point.
Well, Mary has no ability to detect deception at all. It's like her main trademark, so she just takes him at his word, and she fills in most of the conversation. Then she'll just chatter on about her own horses, and
yeah, he's very eager to just kind of nod and, oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, tell me more. He's letting her do all the talking.
yeah, when Jessica comes back down, she's relating the story about, this sneaky pack of wolves that was pestering the horses, and how they just couldn't catch them, and how she and her dad had to hunt them down in the hills and find where they were denning up, and that's where she would probably walk in.
Oh, you went out there yourself?
Oh yeah, ever since Ma passed, my daddy just took me everywhere he went.
Oh, that's remarkable. You don't see many folk out here, ladies, that do such a thing.
Well, I reckon not, but like we were saying, we were one of the first people out here. I guess when you're all on your own, out in the middle of nowhere, you tend to just rely on each other.
Yes, I would imagine so. It's been several years since I've been home, and this is a different place for me too. I'm from Boston. It's a big place. You would hate it, I'm sure.
Oh. Well, possibly. Although I can't say I've ever actually been to a real city before. I hear there's a lot to see and do compared to being out here.
Oh, that is for certain. Perhaps we could go to Denver sometime if your aunt would accompany us, perhaps? Chaperone? I don't know.
Oh. She looks at James, suddenly realizing that he isn't just making conversation. Well, sure. I've never been to Denver. That would be a thing to see.
Oh, it is. It's small compared to Boston and New York, but and Philadelphia, but it's a decent sized city on its way up. And as he's talking, Jessa kind of is walking up at the same time.
Jessa comes in behind Mary. Well, it seems like the two of you are just rife with conversation. I hate to interrupt, of course.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I reckon you're saving this fella from my endless chattering.
No, I'm very sure he's deeply interested about all you're talking about horses. She looks over to James and back to Mary. I think, the two of you might be good to have a few more conversations. Maybe spend some more time together, of course, outside of the party.
Mary looks confused.
Yeah, James looks a little embarrassed, but knowingly. He just nods. Oh, yes, if Mary would like that, certainly.
He could maybe come over for tea one time.
Oh, well, sure. We have real good tea over at the house.
He's smiling and just nods. I'm sure, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I could show you Ladybug.
Ladybug is
My horse.
Oh.
She's half Appaloosa, half saddlebred, sweetest temper, most beautiful creature you've ever seen.
Oh, I would very much enjoy that. He smiles and says, "Well, I suppose I should go and speak to others and make myself available to anyone who wants to talk to me." He kind of smiles and he's like, "Well, I will hopefully call on you soon, Miss Mary."
Well,
she looks forward to it.
Oh, well, yeah, of course I do. It's been a pleasure, for me at least.
Oh, me too.
Sorry for using up all the...
Oh, no, I very much enjoyed it. I don't like talking so much, so your conversation was very pleasant. And he reaches out and takes your hand, and then he walks off and begins to talk to other people after giving you a look over his shoulder.
Mary looks over at Jessa. I'm so sorry. I did my best, but he must have been bored out of his skull.
Oh, honey, no, you did a great job. And you might have even caught us out there.
What? She says, no. Are you kidding? Some fancy boy like that? What would he see in someone like...
I saw the way he was looking back at you, Mary. Even though you think that you're taking the air out of the room, he was perfectly happy not to breathe, if you know what I'm saying.
She thinks for a minute. You're saying that he liked me?
I think he did. I've seen many men's looks before, and that's definitely one that I recognize.
Mary shrugs. Well, I guess you'd know, but she still looks doubtful.
Well, we'll work on some things, Mary, but if he's willing to take you to Denver and willing to come over for tea, I'm very sure he's willing to talk to you more.
Well, I guess that'd be all right.
I'm sure it'll be very alright. She looks over to Taggart, looks to me. I need to do a little bit, some business dealings.
Yeah, Taggart, you notice that he switched his champagne for his glass of whiskey that's almost to the brim. He's looking at a painting, just like nodding at it.
She gives Mary a nod before coming over to Taggart and kind of sidling up beside him, looking at the painting as well, giving it a sidelong glance before looking to Taggart.
Oh, I think this one, this one was by, I forget. Someone told me once who it was from, but I just don't remember. Oh, hi there. He just notices you're there. He's talking to himself.
And she laughs. Hi there, Taggart.
Oh, hi, Miss Dunn.
I see that you're, she looks down at his drink. Drinking, well, real man's drink there.
Well, quite simply, I was going to the washroom every 5 minutes without, so... I don't know, I just switched it up.
Well, I think that's a very good choice.
I agree.
She gives Taggart a look and looks back to the painting, looks back to him. You know, understand that, well, you know, me having two minds is, well, it's pretty busy in itself, but that Butler Company, they seem to be getting more, wild with the way that they're trying to convince people.
Oh yeah, that's true. Definitely those Pinkertons, like I say, they come over to the mine all the time and give me grief. I just wish they'd go away.
What do you mean they're giving you grief?
Oh, they come over and give me funny looks, and you know, someone said that they were causing a commotion. I don't know, we had a couple pack mules die, kind of oddly.
Well, that's very concerning. I mean, it's obvious that the Butler Company's doing this, and I gotta be honest, Dagger, they're not gonna stop. If you don't mind me asking, do you have a family?
Oh no family for me. Chose the color.
That's gotta be pretty stressful. I mean, handsome men like yourself.
Oh, what are you buttering me up for? No one's ever called me handsome.
I don't need to butter you up. Joke's over. I mean, you do have a charm about you. Don't you go saying that you don't.
It's true. I was just telling Miss Dunn, my Aunt Jessa, that you were probably the easiest to talk to person here at this point.
Well, as they always said, a run out of mouth, you know, just kind of blah, 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 blah. I can definitely talk a little bit. Yeah, well, thanks. Thanks for that compliment. That'll make me very happy one day, I think, when I sober up and realize that two pretty ladies of high society said such nice things about me.
Well, look, Taggart, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Like I said, the Butler Company ain't gonna stop, and they ain't gonna stop with just killing mules or trying to incite. I'm fairly blessed to have quite a few people under me to be helping me out. I have a feeling that you do have the one lone mine, and you've made quite a bit of money with it. It's, those Butler Company people are gonna keep coming after you, and they may do, because you're a man, they may do worse to you than they tried to do to me.
What do you mean?
She wrings her hands a little bit and looks off to the side. Well, they tried to have me killed, Taggart.
His eyes go very wide. They did what?
Yeah, they sent some men, tried to rustle up my men, and, well, it was a very harrowing experience. I mean, I'm still pretty shaken by it. Lucky to have hired the people around me, but not everyone can handle that kind of thing, Taggart, and I'd hate to see someone like you end up in deep trouble because of those butlers.
Oh, have you talked to the sheriff yet?
Well, I'm gonna be talking to the sheriff. Unfortunately, it's hard to prove anything. I mean, you know, they didn't leave no calling card or anything like that, no signs saying it was them, but based on everything that's happening, I know it's them.
Well, that's damn. I'll be damned. That's horrible. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm more worried about you. I mean, they might come after you and your man, and you might not be able to, well, hold them off, though you seem like a competent guy. Sometimes a wrong slip and you're going to end up at the bottom of a mine shaft. I'd hate to see that happen to you.
Well, shit. Maybe I should find Nia Walter's brother and sign the dotted line, then I don't know.
She kind of raises a hand. Look, I understand it may be tempting to go with them, but you know me. Well, now you know me, at least. I'm also a small mine owner, and well, I've got the backbone to deal with the butlers. No, it's hard to even think about selling your mine, but if you're willing to sell it to someone, I'm very sure I can offer you a better deal than they're going to offer you.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, they got a lot of money. But I don't know. I don't know. He scratches the back of his head. I've been working there for 5 years, and it's pretty much my entire life now. What do I do?
Jessa puts a hand on his shoulder. Look, you got to think about it. Though you have been working it for 5 years, what if this is going to be the last year of 5 years because of that damn Butler Company? You're going to have quite a bit of money after this. And, you know, there's quite a bit of life to still live. Find yourself a pretty wife, settle down, maybe even keep hunting for more mines to mine, or just settle down and drink your whiskey and bubbly all day, because honestly, that's a lot more fun than dealing with a mine and dealing with paperwork.
Well, you're right about that. You're right about that. I don't know.
Can I persuade?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do it. Persuade. You can get a benefit since he's kind of.
I didn't.
That's okay. That's okay. That should be fine. If it's not, we'll see. I'm pretty sure that.
That is a heck of a roll.
Hell yeah!
Gosh.
I'm a monster.
Yeah. Okay. He's gonna roll vigilance, but I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't think it's gonna matter.
Oh my! Yes.
He stops and looks between the two of you. Well, what you offering?
Out of character. What should I offer?
I mean, I think a couple $1,000 would be appropriate.
Yeah, she'll, I'd say at least a couple thousand for the mine. I mean, that'll set you for quite a long time there, Taggart.
Yeah, $2,000 would set me up pretty good. I don't know what I'd do, though. Well, do I have to move out of the cabin right away, or can I just stick around there?
No. Of course you can stick around. That is no problem to me.
Alright, then, well...
Well, hey, Aunt Jessa, if he is worried about not having something to do, maybe he can help with the mine down there as some sort of supervisor or something, if he wanted to. Yeah.
Well, I do know the mine better than anybody, and having that 2,000 would be great, but, the jewel has just opened up, and I heard it's a whale of a time, so I could probably use the work, at least until I skedaddle.
Honestly, I'd be perfectly happy to have you as a foreman of that mine there, Taggart, and I think me and the proprietor of the jewel have some things worked out together. I'm sure that I could maybe get you some special treatment once in a while.
Oh, no. I'll be fine. I don't like to talk about that here. He looks around, he gets a little red in the face. Anyway, yeah, I'll do it, I think. I'll tell you what, you send one of your lawyer over to my lawyer, and I guess I'll sign the papers in the morning. He takes a drink.
Sounds lovely, and she'll hold out a hand. It's a deal then, Taggart.
He looks at his hand like he's gonna spit on it. Scratches his beard. Yeah, I guess. And he reaches and doesn't spit on it, but reaches at your hand and takes it very gingerly, almost just grabbing it with the fingertips and shakes it, not knowing how to shake your hand.
She smiles and nods. Well, I look forward to drafting up the paperwork for you, and I'll make sure to get it to you in the morning.
Oh,
But,
good Lord, thank you. I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
yeah, all right. Well, you enjoy yourself, and be careful on your way back. It is very snowy out.
Oh, well, I got a good driver. That's one thing of being a mine owner. You can buy things, I guess. Well, it was a pleasure meeting both of you. Mary, you're just sweet as pie, if you don't mind me saying. He kind of looks awkward and says, well, I'll be out of here. Now that I don't have to do this damn shit anymore, I'm quite happy. He just turns around and walks off.
Bye.
Yeah.
Mary calls after him.
Jessabelle, if someone, like one of the waitress or servants are walking by, she'll put her empty flute glass down on it and grab a new one. She'll take a drink, smiling at Mary. Here's to another man.
Mary picks up her glass. That sure was nice of you to take that off his hands, considering the trouble that might cause you.
Well, it is gonna make us more money, so I'm perfectly content with it.
Well then, congratulations. And she tinkles her glass against yours.
Just it is the same. Well, I was looking back at Molly, who's approaching.
Yeah, she just dropped off the champagne, kind of heads off. You're standing there as the party continues. Is there anything else you would like to do before we conclude?
At one point, Jessabelle is going to probably talk to Mr. Sweet.
Yeah, you find he's easily approachable. Oh, yes. Mrs. Dunn, how can I help you?
She smiles to him. And, I just wanted to know how your meeting with the deputy went.
Oh, wonderful. I believe they're heading up to find the David boys and bring them to justice. Well, perhaps there's two possibilities, but they're heading up to the old lumberjack camp. Hopefully.
The David boys?
Oh, yes.
What happened there?
Oh, ruffians, ma'am, ruffians. They're the ones that got in the gunfight with the sheriff just yesterday.
Oh my goodness, it was them boys? Oh, that's...
Oh,
well,
bunch of scallywags, ma'am.
Indeed, it seems, well, a little town is drawn in some very scary individuals.
Ruffians. Hopefully, after the sheriff's done with them, they'll be in the lockup, and then out of town.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully this is the last we'll see of any of that kind of folk here, but we all know that's not true.
Oh, where there's money comes criminals for certain.
Indeed, whether they're clad in chaps or they have a suit on, there's gonna be criminals everywhere.
Yes. If he's exactly understanding what you're getting at, he doesn't make any mention of it. He simply says, well, I did hear that there will be elections soon for office. I do believe that we should vote for Sheriff Gunderson.
Oh, really? There's elections coming up.
Oh, yes.
She looks off to the side.
Yeah, I've heard.
That's interesting.
Yes. Well, from what I understand, the mayor appointed the sheriff, and so it's time for the people to decide. Democracy.
Of course, I do look forward to the elections, and looking forward to see Gunderson as sheriff again.
Well, I think that's wise, yes.
She nods. Continues kind of drinking through the night, making just idle conversation with whoever's around.
Mary stays pretty quiet, but at one point she turns to Jessa and says, you know, the bigger this town gets, the bigger you get with your minds, the more dangerous things are going to get.
Of course,
Better
Mary.
I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled.
Good, because as long as they're like kind of just together to the side, she'll lean in with Mary. Good, because I do have a feeling things are gonna get a little bit more hairy as time goes on. And of course, I'm gonna need you by my side.
Mary looks up, well, probably looks down at her, but she looks proud. She kind of straightens up. Well, you can count on me. I'll have your back. Ain't nobody gonna hurt you while I'm around.
I appreciate that, Mary. And of course, as always, I'll make sure to look out for you too. And what's best? She'll adjust Mary's hair slightly. There.
Well, I reckon I wouldn't know what to do in a situation like this without you.
We'll keep working on it.
And the party goes on late into the night. You eventually climb in your wagon, and Maxwell drives you home through the snow. And the scene pans out into the darkness, and that's it.
Woo!